Hey good people, welcome back to Beauty and the Frizz. My name is Kara, whether you're new or returning. Thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me today. Today I'm just doing a get ready with me. I thought it would be kind of interesting for me to compare how I applied my makeup probably last year at this time versus things that I'm doing differently now. So if you want to just hang out and get ready with me today, keep watching this video. Let me know what you think and how have your makeup application techniques changed over the years. I've only been doing my makeup for a couple of years now, and I know there have been tons of trends. So I'd love to hear changes that you've made in your makeup routines. So yeah, let me know what you think. And if makeup is your therapy and your love and you want to just connect with other enthusiasts such as myself, this is definitely the channel for you. So consider joining the community because we'd love to have you back. All right, let's get started. All right, so we're gonna jump right on in. I've already done my eyebrows and I've consistently been using the same two products for some time now. I started out using just a regular brow pencil. I either used the NYX one or this Maybelline one, and that's what it looks like. I kind of misplaced them and then I found them, so I started using them again. But halfway through 2021, I started using the NYX Lift and Snatch Brow Tint Pen. It's one of those fine point pens. I changed from the pencil to that pen because I was trying to get more of an unstructured brow look. So if you look at my brows, like I really want those feathery ones that people do, but my brows, they just don't seem to do that. Before, I really used to structure my brows on the top as well as the bottom, but now I focus more on the bottom to have that structure. I comb them up and just kind of fill in where I need to using the pencil or the pen. But previously, I used to just kind of outline the shape of my entire brow with the pencil. But to me, this just looks a bit more natural and, you know, they're not perfect and I like that. Now, the other thing that I used to do was I used to always carve out my brows with concealer, and I don't really do that anymore. If I see that there's some stray brow hairs or something like that, I might, but I rarely do that anymore, nor do I have the time. So I got rid of that step. Now that we talked about the brows, let's go into primer. This primer is my favorite. So one thing that I have added to my makeup routine is sunscreen, and I know that makes us all happy. In the past, I thought it was okay that my foundation had sunscreen in it. I thought that that was enough, but now I know that it's not enough and you do need to put on a separate sunscreen. So the one that I chose is the Silk and Pore Perfecting Sunscreen. It is broad spectrum SPF 35 and it's by Taupe. I don't know, I really have had great success with Taupe products, and so I did a lot of research on sunscreens, and I know that some of the concerns were having a white cast, what it looks like on deeper skin, even though, you know, I'm kind of a light medium, but I was concerned about having that white cast because I feel like I'm already kind of pale. So, you know, I didn't want that. Some sunscreens I know don't sit well under the makeup, and I know that there are concerns about the smell. Some people don't want to smell like sunscreen. Who wants to smell like the beach and they're not there? Just saying, not me. So I did a lot of research and this one came back with some really great reviews. I know everything doesn't work for everybody, but this is the one I chose to go with. And this is still my first tube of this. It is expensive. It is like $60, but I just feel like it checked all the boxes with the things that I just mentioned. It does smell like sunscreen, but it's not super strong and it doesn't linger. It's really creamy. I think it's really smoothing, and I use this as my primer. So after this, I go directly into the foundation or whatever it is, skin tint that I'm putting on, but I don't need a separate primer. And I think it sits really well under the makeup that I use. That is definitely a new step in my makeup routine, and a very important one that I'm glad I learned. When it comes to foundation, I don't have a foundation where I'm like, oh my gosh, I hate this. I don't feel like that about any of the foundations that I've tried, and it's not like it's this whole wide variety. But I will say I really do like that Tarte Foundsealer foundation, but I have other ones that work just as well. So once I'm done this one, I'm not sure if I'm going to repurchase it anytime soon because I have some other things that I want to work through. Now recently I did try this Merit complexion stick, and I really like this. It's like, it just allows me to put on the makeup exactly where I need it. I don't have to put it all over my face, and I love how it blends in. It's kind of similar to those Fenty matchsticks when they came out. I really liked those as well. So with this, I'm just going to focus it on certain areas. Like I do have a little bit of hyperpigmentation here, so I'm just going to put some there. I'm going to do a little under the eyes, just a little bit, because I'm still going to do some concealer. And I think I'm going to start using these a lot more just because I am wearing a mask at work. And honestly, the less makeup I have on in this area, the better. As far as transfer and things like that, I do get a little bit of transfer, you know, when I have on my foundation and stuff like that. But I feel like this is kind of the way to go right now. And this color is a little bit off, I think, for me. Just a tad in the undertone maybe. It's really warm, but this was the closest to my complexion. And I'm an NC42 in MAC, and chances are that might not even be right, but that works for me. So I'm just using this Merit blending brush to go ahead and press this in. And I don't mind that this is a little warmer because I like my skin to look warm. All right, so now that I have that on, going in with some concealer. Now this may be the second or third concealer that I've ever tried. Once I got hooked onto the Pat McGrath concealer, I felt like, why try anything else? And last month I just got compelled, after watching a video with Kinky Sweat, to try this Dior Forever Skin Correct concealer. So I am going to use that, and I have that in the shade 4N. I really like the applicator on this one. Now I feel like before I probably used a lot more concealer than I do right now, but I've just kind of minimized just how much product I actually use. And I've worked really hard, not worked hard, but I've really tried to find products to help with my acne. Most of those are drugstore, like Neutrogena products. And I haven't really had any issues with any severe breakouts. And I used to have blemishes, and I used to get breakouts in this area too. And I've been doing really well. So I'm saying that to say that I'm not putting on more than I need to. Like, I just want my skin to show through. And, you know, if I do have a breakout again or something like that, I'll adjust it. But like, if I don't need it, I'm not putting it on. That's how I feel right now. And that's another reason why I really need to slow down with the products that I'm buying. Like, not just buying things to just buy. Like, I already know I'm not going through eyeshadow. I'm not going to be going through blush. But with foundation and things like that, like, there's no need to buy extra stuff if I'm only using this amount. Like, I don't need a backup. I don't need to have like all of these different foundations that are open that I'm working through. I might need to just slow that down a bit. So that's something that I'm gonna work on. Recently, I discovered this concealer brush by Rare Beauty, and I absolutely love this for my concealer. Now, before that, I was using the BK Beauty 101 brush. Now, I just started using that Merit brush because I ordered that with the foundation stick. But any other time that I'm putting on foundation or skin tint, I'm using this brush here, the BK Beauty 101. But for concealer, I have switched over to this Rare Beauty concealer brush. Now, speaking of BK Beauty, I watched a video with Lisa J, and she was talking about a trick that she does to make her concealer go on, you know, really nicely, and that's to wet the brush with setting spray. I use setting spray a lot more throughout the makeup application process than I used to. I just used to use it at the end, but now I kind of use it throughout. So I'm just gonna spray this Charlotte Tilbury setting spray onto the concealer brush, and then I'm gonna go ahead and stamp that in. All right, now that that's done, I'm gonna set my under eye. I am gonna be using the Tatcha Translucent powder today. I cannot find my Charlotte Tilbury pressed powder. It will turn up, but I usually rotate between these two powders, and I don't even think I was using powder like that at first. I was like, I don't want to do that, but I do see that it's kind of a necessary step, and I do see the difference that it makes on my under eye area especially. So I'm just going to use this Alien Cosmetics like highlighting brush to set under my under eyes. And I'm going to just set like this area under here because I wear a mask at work, and I also like to set right here because it gets a little shiny right there. I always like to check and make sure it's not like tacky right here. And then I know that I've put on enough. All right, so the next step in my routine would be the bronzer. So y'all, this brush right here, this is the Sonia G Niji Pro brush. So I really like this brush. When I'm not using this one, sometimes I'll use my Bristles Beauty bronzing brush, or I have another one from BH Cosmetics, but I'm in love with this one right now. So that's what we're gonna use. And today's bronzer is gonna be the Victoria Beckham Matte Bronzing Brick. And this is the shade 3. So there's a warm shade and a contour shade. And here's what the shade looks like. So one of the things that I've changed is that before I think I was applying the bronzer too low. And now I know that on my face it's best for me to go higher up and not as far down. I think I was just applying things just to apply them and not so much thinking about the desired result on my face. I was new to all of these products. The first time I tried a bronzer was after watching a Kinky Sweat video where she was trying out all of the Fenty Sunstalker bronzers, and that bronzer was my first one, and is in the shade Bayesian Gal. And like that bronzer is very warm, but then I started to see the difference, like, well, some are cool, you know, and just trying to figure out like what will be good for my face. And now I'm learning more about contour shades and what those types of cool shades do for your skin. So it's all a learning journey for me, but I'm really enjoying it. So I'm just gonna go actually into both shades. I am just gonna start like up here in the hairline area and just come down just a little bit. Like I just don't want to come down too far. And again, I'm still working on this. And this is a big brush, you know, so if you don't like that, then the Bristles Beauty one would be good. But you can see like it adds a little bit of warmth here to the face. I just know for me, like less is more. So I'm not gonna just continue to add. And the other thing is like, I just remember doing that, and I still do that a little bit, but sometimes when you twist your face up like that, then when you have your face regular, the product is not in the right place, at least for me. So I do that to give me a little guide, but it's just a guide. And then I like to take the bronzer and kind of outline my forehead area. And then just taking whatever's left and just go under here. And then that's it. Like, So next I'm gonna go into blush. Now for blush, I'm going to use the shade Flirtatious by McGrath. Now I used to use this huge brush by Refer to put my blush on. You can still kind of concentrate it, but this is the brush that is like my holy grail brush now. And I remember never using this. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is too small. But I'm like, no, this is the perfect size. So I'm just gonna zoom in so you can see. And this brush is the Bristles Beauty F09RM brush, but it's their blush brush. I believe they only have one. And I'm just going in to Flirtatious. And again, for me, like, I used to put my blush here. Like, even in a recent video, I can't. I just think overall, I go in a lot lighter with everything. What's up, August? Good. Oh, you can come in and hang out. No, I have to go. Auntie Ari made him pancakes. I tried to tell you that. But you know, you can have time where you're just playing by yourself. What? This goes to my camera. I will play with you today because I said I was going to play yesterday, but I'm not going to play right now. No. Okay. You can close my door though. Sometimes I like to put the blush on my nose just a little bit. I do kind of like a rosy kind of look. I really like blush a lot. So that's kind of like what I would do on an everyday basis. So I think you can see that, and that like I'm not going like this, because then when I relax my face, the blush is going to be too low. And I think that may have been what I was doing before. I try to apply everything with a natural facial position. All right, going into highlighter now. Now, I don't highlight all the time anymore. That's another thing. Like sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It just depends. Recently, I purchased the Beauty Light Wand from Charlotte Tilbury. It was like the only one they had. And I got a contour wand as well, but I haven't tried that one out. This is the shade Spotlight. Ooh, but the Peachgasm and Pinkgasm just came back in stock, and I ordered those, and I'm so excited because you cannot get your hands on those beauty wands. I don't know where I've been, but this is Spotlight, and it looks like this. I love this one, y'all. Like, I really, really do. What I've been doing is just taking it either on my finger and applying it like this, or just actually stamping it on kind of like that. And like, look how dewy this is. Like, this is just so smooth. And I have been going for like less blingy highlights. So I actually just brought out my Kaleido Space Age highlighters because I'm like, I really do need to use them. But I just haven't been into those shimmery highlighters. And they have thicker particles in them. So I'm just, I don't know, I'm just not into them as much. So I don't know what to say about that. But I haven't gone for those types of highlighters in a long time at this point. Long meaning like at least like 6 months. I have not had the urge to pull any of them out. I've been using the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude highlighter. I've been using the McGrath, the Gold Nectar one, the one that came out with the blush. Like, I've been using that. And the highlighter that I got from Merit is really nice and dewy too. And I'll link that video, but yeah, so just something like that. And I haven't even had to click this up like to get any product out. That's why I'm like, this stuff is gonna like really last me forever. So I'm in the process of doing an inventory of all of my makeup. I've already done the eyeshadow palettes, which I think was the hardest because that's what I have the most of. But I really have to start thinking about what I have and what I'm actually using. And there may be times in the future where I will want a blingy highlighter, but like, I didn't need that whole set. I don't need 10 of them, maybe just 1 or 2. And that's why I passed on that new Kaleidos highlighter, the gifted one because I have the other multi-chrome one and I don't use it, but I'm gonna pull that out. That one is really good. So I'm gonna give myself a spray. Sometimes I'll go back in with the powder, but most times, I'll be honest, I forget. So let's get into some changes with eyeshadow. Now, one of the things is that I used to use concealer for eyeshadow primer, but I have now been using eyeshadow primer. And I've been using this Glam Light icing primer for a while, but I also use the Urban Decay Primer Potion. I think that this primer is good, but it's thicker. And in the summer months, I just feel like my eyeshadow was, because I was outside at recess and things like that, I feel like the eyeshadow was kind of melting off because this is a little more like a oily, whereas the primer potion is thin. And then the other thing I think I've changed is how much eyeshadow primer that I was using. You know, you don't need like this thick layer. And I just feel like that's what I was doing. Dab it here and here. And sometimes I use a brush, sometimes I use my fingers to kind of smooth it out. I do try to take it almost up to the brow. And if I wasn't talking through this, like this whole routine really doesn't take long, maybe 15 to 20 minutes, and I'm trying to even cut that down. And this is gonna crease before I put my eyeshadow on, so I'll probably have to smooth it out again. Now, the palette that I'm gonna be using today, I have been wanting to use this for months now, y'all. This is the Lunar Beauty Eternal Eclipse palette. And look at this, y'all. Look how beautiful this palette is. I think I'm gonna go for more of a neutral look today, but I love this palette because it has warm and cool tones in it. So there's just a nice variety of the types of looks that you can create. The first brush I'm gonna grab is from What's Up Beauty. It's the R103. And one thing that I used to do was I used to use this Morphe brush. And if you watched my brush video, like the clutter situation where I only decluttered like 15 brushes, but it was like the brush that I chose was huge. It was so huge. And I'm like, my eyeshadow was just coming out way too high in my opinion. I usually don't go for these types of brushes anymore. The ones that are not pointed, I really like the domed brush heads. These are just really good for me and the way that I apply my eyeshadow. Now, I used to go in starting here, but now I'm starting to go more in the outer corner and then blending up. That way the eyeshadow has a place to go, if that makes sense. I'm being all analytical. I'm gonna go into the shade Sandstorm, which is this nice transition brown shade. So I usually just start in here. So that I can blend it up and over instead of starting here. I used to start over here. What I realized is that when I'm trying to create a certain shape, and the shape that I like to create is kind of a shape that goes over and down, it's easier for me to create that starting in the outer corner. And I kind of go in these like short strokes because the primer, and I don't set it, and I used to set my primer, but the primer not being set, you're setting it with this first shade. So sometimes it's harder to do that back and forth initially. And I've just learned that going in with a little bit of color and building it up is just so much easier than just packing and packing and packing it on. Because then you sometimes can't reverse that. Another thing I used to do, I used to, like, depending on the look, drag my eyeshadow out. And I really haven't been doing that as much lately. So that's really good for this transition. Now, this is my first time using Eternal Eclipse, but I have also used Moonspell. So I'm a little familiar with this eyeshadow and I really do like it. I would consider, no, I'm not considering any more palettes right now. So never mind, I'm not even gonna speak it into existence. All right, I'm now gonna go into the crease with a smaller domed brush by Bristles Beauty. I'm gonna go into the crease with, let's do the shade Summer Sky. It's a little bit deeper than Sandstorm. Let's just see how this shows up. I think you can see that the look is starting to get deeper. Now, one thing that hasn't changed about me is I love a smoky eye. I really, really do. I'm gonna take the same brush. Hopefully this doesn't mess it up. I wanna go into one of the blue shades from the palette. I wanna go into Lagoon, and I just want to place that on the outer corner. So I'm using the same brush. I'm just gonna try to keep it in this area and blend it in with Summer Sky. And now I do like taking a fluffy brush, maybe like this one, just to make sure everything is blended and clean. All right, next I'm gonna go into a shimmer shade, and I'm gonna go into this one here, which is Desert Sky. Just using my finger to place this on the lid. And then I am gonna go back into Lagoon, which was our blue shade, just to make sure they blend into each other. For the inner corner, we're gonna go into this shade Adamantium, which is this one here, bright silver. I'm just taking a little lip brush for that. And I do have a habit of not keeping the inner corners in the inner corners, and that's fine. All right, for the lower lash line, I'm gonna take the BK Beauty 207, and I'm gonna just go back into Sandstorm, which was that first transition shade. Just gonna drag it under here. And then I'm gonna go into Lagoon, which was the blue. And I just wanna connect the bottom to the top. And there's the look. I don't always do a brow bone highlight anymore, but this is what we have. You can come in.
Mama.
Yes. Just grab.
Can me and Marky play Roblox?
Marky doesn't want to play right now, but I'll play with you when I'm done my video.
No, you and Marky play with me later.
We will.
And the sheets dry.
No, I have to put them in the dryer. They just finished washing. I'm gonna just take a brown, come fix my door. Just gonna take a brown liner today. Another thing I do is just like, my top liner is really, really, really thin, because I remember doing my liner and it'd be thick because I was trying to do wings and stuff, and then you can't even see the eye look, which is why I stopped wearing the lashes too. I'm in love with this mascara. This is the one I just got from Merit, and it's a lengthening mascara, and it is so pretty. Like, I don't know what it is about it, but it's really good. So that's what we've got. And last but not least, I need a lipstick, so hold on. So for lipstick, I am going to use this ColourPop Lippy Pencil in the shade BFF. And then I'm going to use our girl, Lisa Eldridge, Velvet Muse. Usually I do nude lips. I know that's one thing that hasn't really changed about me. I love a nude lip, but I'm getting into some different shades, so that's good too. All right, you guys, so this is my everyday makeup routine. I hope this was enjoyable and informative for you, because for me, like, going through these steps and thinking back on what I was doing previously is really helpful, you know, because we're all in this journey trying to not perfect, but learn and, you know, enhance our natural beauty and our skills. So I think it is important to go back and think about like how you used to apply things and about the products that you liked versus what you're doing now. I just think for me, this has been a really like therapeutic and helpful exercise. I think it's made a huge difference in the way that my makeup looks and how I feel about the makeup, because it's not about looking good on the camera. You know, I want makeup that is going to look good in person. And I know that there have been many times where on the camera it looks good, but then when I look at myself in the mirror or if I've gone to work, I'm like, this makeup is so heavy. Like, why do I have all of this on? So that's kind of where I was and where I'm going. Like I want it to really look good in person, not just for pictures or Instagram or like the camera. You know what I mean? There's just another step in the journey. So thank you so much for taking out some of your time and giving it to me. I do hope this was therapy for you. This one definitely was for me. And until I see you again, make sure you are being gentle with yourself. Talk to yourself nice, stay safe, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.